All right, hello everybody. This is Rebecca Smetana speaking, and we're going to go ahead and get started with the webinar this afternoon. We are featuring a brand new topic for us here at SCO. We're going to try this out and hope that it goes well, and giving you guys a sneak peek of what our campus looks like and where we are here in Memphis. So we're trying to do a virtual tour for you all, and I am here to facilitate the session, but I'm going to hand over the microphone in a second to two of our student ambassadors. And they are students who have been elected to give tours and to support prospective students and answer questions and be good representatives of our school and program here. So they're going to take it away in a moment, and they're going to be the ones to guide you around campus and also speak to you from their perspective about the program, about SCO, about Memphis, and their experience in the program. They'll introduce themselves and say a little bit more in just a minute again. But I want to encourage you all out there as participants to chime in as we go. You should see a question and answer box in the webinar system. So at any point in time, if you want to hear a little bit more from our student ambassadors, I'll be monitoring that question and answer box and make sure to ask those questions right away. And we'll also take a few minutes at the end to do the same. So I'm excited about this session, and I hope you guys enjoy. So without any further ado, I'm going to hand it over to Courtney and to Trevor, our student ambassadors, to take it away.
Hi everyone, my name is Courtney. I'm a third-year student here at SCO. I'm from Florida. I went to the University of South Florida in Tampa, and I majored in biomedical sciences, so I got my bachelor's degree from there, and then I took a gap year and then started at SCO, and I'm loving it so far. Trevor?
My name's Trevor Smith. I'm from Rexburg, Idaho. I did my undergraduate work at Brigham Young University, majoring in physiology and developmental biology, and then jumped straight into school here at SCO, and it's fantastic. Loving Memphis, loving the school.
All right, so the little star, that's where Memphis is. So Tennessee is kind of in the middle of the country, and Memphis is in that bottom left corner there. And we actually neighbor Arkansas and Mississippi, which from Florida, I have to drive 8 hours to get anywhere. So it's kind of cool being in the tri-state area. From school, it's like 15, 20 minutes to get to 2 other states, which is really kind of an interesting place to be. And here's Memphis. So Memphis is known for music and barbecue. And so we're right here on the Mississippi. And so you can kind of see in that top left picture, lots of boats. River is really cool. There's a park that runs right along the river, and a lot of our students live like right on the river. So it's a really fun place to be able to take your dog, go play Frisbee, go on a jog. We have these really super cool scooters and bikes like all around the city that you can like use an app, and you can take a motor scooter and just ride down the river, which is awesome. Over on the right, we have Levitt Shell, and Levitt Shell does a free music series over the summer where bands come and play, and you get to go take your blanket and listen to music. And I think Elvis played his like first paid gig there, so little trivia for you. And then we also have Beale Street, which is kind of like the hub of our nightlife. If you want to go out dancing, go out for drinks. If you want to go out and get some good barbecue, you can do that there on Beale Street. And then we have the Orpheum, which is that middle picture. That's going to be our big theater. And then Sun Studio, where Johnny Cash and Elvis and a whole bunch of other really famous people performed. And that's actually right down the street from school. So that's pretty cool.
So this map kind of shows you a zoomed in picture of Memphis and kind of how it's divided up. You can see the school there in the center of the yellow area, right on the edge of Midtown and downtown. The school kind of sits in what we call the medical district with lots of other hospitals and medical professional schools and things like that. So we have a lot of other young professionals that are in our same boat, even if they're not at SCO, here in this same area. And we've got students living all over Memphis. Like Courtney was saying, over there on the western side, a lot of our students live but near the river. I actually live across the state line in Mississippi, but I only drive about 20-25 minutes to get to school. So there's a lot of options, whether you want to live, in the downtown area, or if you prefer that suburban feel a little bit more. There's a lot of different options and a lot of different price ranges. And here's a picture of our campus. You can see, kind of like we were just talking about in the background, some of those other hospitals and things, but you can see the main tower and the clinic. And as Courtney and I kind of go through the clinic, we're going to start, or as we go through the tour, we're going to start at the bottom of the tower and work our way up, and then we'll take you guys through the clinic.
All right, thanks guys. So I'm going to interject really quickly and let you know how we're going to be handling this tour. So on the SCO website, we have this page called Interactive Tour. If you're curious how to get there and you want to peek around after the session today, all you need to go and do is click Prospective Students and then visit SCO and click Interactive Tour. So that'll take you to this page. And here is, you can see, you know, something that looks like the image you just saw, the photo of campus with the main tower building, the educational and administrative building, and then the Eye Center, which is our primary main clinical facility right next door. So this is what we're going to be going through today. I'll turn it back over to the ambassadors to get started.
Alrighty, so we will start in the tower. So when you walk into the tower, we have our bookstore, but one of the really exciting things that we have on the first floor of the tower is the Optometric Theory and Methods Labs. So this is, you can kind of see the picture there. It is a whole bunch of exam lanes. And so this is where you're going to go and do all of your hands-on training, learning your clinical skills, and you will do that like week 1 of first year. They'll hand you some equipment and they'll teach you how to use it, and that's super exciting. The Theory and Methods Labs are open on the evenings and the weekends for you to come in and practice, because one of the mottos here from one of our teachers is practice, practice, practice. So you will be spending a lot of time in these Theory and Methods Labs, and they're set up exactly the way our clinic labs or clinic exam lanes are set up. So that way you get that really nice, smooth transition from classroom learning into seeing real patients and really being in the clinic. And you'll see we have those microscopes there, those slit lamps. We have a couple different brands of those, so you get comfortable using any type of slit lamp. You'll be comfortable using, we have a couple different models of phoropters. So this is what our exam lanes look like. You spend a ton of time here when you're at school. Even into 3rd year, you'll go in and practice some more. So, and then we have, so the way that these classes work, you get paired up with one of your classmates, and so typically the teacher will have you on a rotating basis so that you can see as many eyes as possible. And then there's like 4 to 5 teachers in there, and they will go around and make sure everyone's doing the right thing, answering any questions that you have. So this is kind of what class looks like. And then on the 2nd floor, so now we're moving up a floor here, this is what our classroom looks like. And we have our classes with about 135 students. That's about how big our class sizes are. And it's a little bit different from undergrad, just because in undergrad you probably moved from like location to location to find your classes. For us, we pretty much get to school in the morning. Our class starts at like 8 a.m. and you set up camp at your seat, and then your teachers rotate through. So that was a pretty different thing, at least from coming from undergrad, that I found. The way that the schedule typically works. So we have 2 classrooms. This picture that you're seeing here is with the divider removed. So it turns into like a really big room. That's a panoramic picture there. So we start the classes at 8 a.m. Then they go until noon. You get lunchtime, and then you'll have your labs in the afternoon as far as first year goes, and then that switches. One of the cool things about our classes, if for whatever reason you can't make it to class, we do have a recording program that we use. So you can, you know, if you're trying to study or if you miss class, you can go back and listen to any of the lectures that you might have missed. And they keep those all year long and for more years to come. So right now I have 2 logins to Integrity, is what the program's called. So I can listen to my current classes, or if I wanted to go back and listen to something from first year, I have access to that too. And that really helps when you're trying to study for boards. One other thing about classes, because you spend a lot of time in classes, we do have note-taking services. So basically how it works is for each of your classes, people will pretty much put together their notes and they'll submit them. And then as a class, you vote on which set of notes you liked the best. And then you can, as a student, purchase those notes. And so if you're taking the notes, it's great for you. You're making money. You're really studying that material to put those notes together. And then the whole class gets to benefit from kind of being able to take their time in classes because they know that the notes are being taken kind of for them. But yeah, that's really what I have about the classrooms. So yeah, Trevor?
All right, moving up one more floor, we'll go into the Learning Resource Center, which is one of our main computer labs on campus. Each student does need to have a computer at SCO. That's where we take all of our tests and things like that. However, there are 2 computer labs on campus that we can use as much as we would like. So this one's really nice because there's about 30 computers in there. There's some PCs and some Macs. And not only are they there for you to use whatever you might need to, but they also have different programs and special things with anatomy and things like that that you can use for some of your classes. The other nice thing on the 3rd floor and throughout the school are the printers. Like many universities, we have a printing service that is very, very affordable so that we can print whatever we need from our laptops or from the school computers, however we may need to do that. So let's go up one more floor. Oh, actually, I should say one more thing about the 3rd floor. That's also where our information services people are, and they are fantastic in helping you with computer problems or whatever you may need, your email or whatever it is. They are fantastic.
I will personally attest to that.
All right, let's go to the 4th floor. The 4th floor is where we have our cafeteria. We call it Blink Diner.
Get it?
We like our puns around here. So Blink is really great. Miss Melissa and her son Glaze do some amazing cooking for us every day. They always make some kind of special that's very affordable and very filling, and there's also sandwiches and salads and cupcakes that are different every day, and it's fantastic food. You can see there's a lot of big room. There's a lot of room. The cafeteria was recently renovated in 2017. And they added a lot of extra study spaces, and it's just a nice place that's open and there for us to use either for eating or for socializing or for studying or whatever we may need to do. Blink is only open for breakfast and lunch, but hopefully by dinner you can make it home. Yeah. I get to do one more floor. We'll go up one more to the 5th floor and talk a little bit about the library. So SCO's library is really great. For one, like most libraries, it's one of the quiet study spaces on campus. So if you prefer to study where there's not a lot of noise or other distractions, you can always go up to the library. The library also has another computer lab in it, as well as you can see in this photo the different study corrals, a couch if you feel like taking a nap or anything like that. There's lots of quiet space. SCO has all of the different academic journals, textbooks, books, anything that you might need in order to learn more and do papers or anything like that you may need to do throughout your education. Or if you just want to research another condition that you saw in a patient one day, you can always go up to the library and get whatever resources that you need. And on top of that, there are some separate study rooms in the library if you prefer to kind of have a room and do some group studying. They even check out things like whiteboards and markers, and they have chargers up there and all sorts of different things that you might need to just kind of help you keep that study session going before that midterm starts. And I think that's it about the library.
Sweet. So we're going to jump up to the 10th floor now. Between the 5th and 10th floor, there are other floors, but those are mainly faculty offices. Not really anything exciting to show you guys. So the Hay Center for Practice Excellence is up on the 10th floor. And I think one of the unique things about SCO is that not only do they teach us to be fantastic clinicians, they're also trying to instill in us some business sense. So many people, their goal at the end of optometry school is to eventually maybe go into private practice. And I think everybody's goal at the end of optometry school is to get a job. So the Hay Center for Practice Excellence is built into our curriculum as far as some classes that we get, learning about optometry from a legal point of view, from a business point of view. So that's in our curriculum. But when we start looking at jobs and graduation, they'll help us with contracts. They'll help us know, like, yes, this is a good deal that you should go, or hey, maybe you should talk to the potential employer and have them tweak this. So they really kind of come alongside you and help you get that great first job out of school, and you get access to that forever. So that doesn't go away once you're graduated. That's one of the benefits of being an SCO alum. So I'm really excited about that. And I really think it's important for us to get jobs and for us to kind of be able to achieve everything that we might want to do with private practice, because most optometry students, most medical students, they come out with student debt. So also on the 10th floor is our financial aid office. And our financial aid office has a few different people on there that have many, many, many years of working with students, helping them navigate the very scary world of student debt and figuring out, okay, how am I going to pay this off? How do I budget effectively? How do I, have my groceries but still have fun, and just managing all of the finances that can be kind of intimidating. And so what I really like to kind of say about this floor, about floor 10, is that we're looking at 22 years of none of our students defaulting on their loans. Oh, 23, Rebecca just told me. 23 years of nobody defaulting on their loans. So our students are getting jobs and they're paying off their loans. And these are two of the big resources that help us do that.
One more thing to note about financial aid, sorry, Courtney, is that you will never, ever, ever wait in line in the financial aid office.
Never.
You walk up there without an appointment and you will always be seen right away, because they're just amazing.
And they have a big bowl of candy, so that's why I go to the financial aid office.
So Rebecca goes for candy, we go for candy and advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's one of the other great things about being like a single purpose school too. Whenever you go to the financial aid office, like they know exactly how to help you because they know the boat that you're in, because that's what they're dealing with all day long. So love them. They're super great in financial aid and at the Hay Center. Also on the 10th floor, we have our externship and residency office. So during 4th year of optometry school, you go on 2 externships, and they're 4 months long. And then for the other 4 months of the school year, you'll be spending it on campus. So you can pretty much go to your externship anywhere in the entire country. So they help you make that decision to decide where are you going to get those 8 months of clinical experience, what kind of experience are you looking for, and then same thing with residency. So with optometry, you have a 1-year optional residency that you can do after graduation, and those are also all over the country. So they're going to be the ones who are going to come alongside you and help you make those decisions. That's really going to set you up for success in the future.
All right, moving up to the top floor of the tower, we have the 11th floor where we have student services, the president's office, academic affairs, accounting, all those kind of administrative things are up here on this floor. This is a place where you'll get pretty familiar with on your interview day. This is where interviews are held and where you meet with your tour guides and things like that, where you get to meet with Rebecca and some of our other staff up here that are amazing. Everybody who works up here is trying to help you get what you need to get your application squared away, to figure out how to help you become a good candidate. They want to help you get here. And that's why SCO is so great, because everyone here wants to try and help you succeed.
Absolutely.
Right? And President Reich is our current president, and he is one of the friendliest, nicest guys I have ever met. He'll stop you in the hall and talk to you and chat with you. And everybody up here, it's not some stuffy office. It's a nice place to be and come and just talk to friends and get some advice and help and whatever you may need with applications or anything else.
Absolutely.
We sometimes have candy.
Sometimes.
But they always have good advice.
That's true too. So coming out of the tower, so going across the street here, we're actually going to go to the activity center.
Okay.
There we go. So the activity center is where the sports happen and a whole bunch of other things. So the activity center is a full purpose, full functioning gym. So you have all of your gym equipment that you would need. We have TV, shuffleboard, ping pong, pool table. So if you're here for a long time, the activity center is kind of a fun place to go and hang out if you're not really in the mood for studying. They have a whole bunch of equipment that you can rent. I know you can even rent like tents if you say you're going camping. Did you know that?
No.
Oh, well now you do. You can rent tents from the activity center if you walk away with nothing else. you can get tents from the activity center. But we have racquetball courts. There's a shower, so if you want to come early, get your workout in, you can shower and then be ready for class and the rest of the day. But a couple things happen in the activity center. We do have intramural sports, and so we have soccer, football, volleyball.
Basketball?
I'm not the most athletically inclined. I did get roped into doing soccer, and it was a ton of fun. I was terrible, but it was a ton of fun. We have IM sports, get kind of all of that stress out by low pressure sports. Also, we have kind of like a big multi-purpose room, like a basketball court in there, and every year we hold our annual chili cook-off, and there's always a theme. And so you get a team together from your class or maybe, across classes, and you create some delicious chili, and it's open to the whole school, and the whole school will go eat chili, vote on chili. There was a decades theme, and we were dressed with very big hair for the 80s. Another exciting thing that happens at the Activity Center every fall is OptiFest. And so that is a big trunk show. And that's where all of the frame vendors, so the glasses vendors, will come, and students have the opportunity to talk to reps, to talk to people who create optometric equipment, just to really get an idea of what they have to offer. And then the big perk is that you get to buy glasses at cost. So being an optometry school, you will have the opportunity to get some really fancy glasses for not that much money. Another thing I want to talk about while we're in the Activity Center is kind of another extracurricular thing that we have at SCO is we do have a whole bunch of clubs. So I just listed a couple here, but we have NORA, which is the Neuro Optometric Rehab Club, COVD and SPOSH. SPOSH is one of our service-based clubs where they go on mission trips internationally. We have the Lions Club, which some of you might know about. We have private practice clubs. We have Fellowship of Christian Optometrists. We have Gamma Omicron for female optometrists. We have an honor society. So there's a whole bunch of ways to get involved. So when you're in optometry school, especially at SCO, you're not going to be all books, no play. There's a lot of ways that you can get involved to make new friends. A lot of people come from different parts of the country, may not know anybody when they get here. There's a whole bunch of ways to get involved and to really enjoy the social aspect of being an optometry school.
All right, so we have one question about OptiFest.
OptiFest, yeah.
The question is, what value have you as students found in the OptiFest aside from the glasses?
Aside from the glasses? So, you want to take this one, Trevor?
I can. So what I like about OptiFest is I get to go, it reminds me of a conference. So I've been to one or two conferences, like optometric professional conferences since I've been at school, and it reminds me a lot of kind of what the exhibit halls there look like. So it was kind of a little bit of prep for that, but it also gave me an opportunity to talk to reps, figure out how that doctor, representative, patient or relationship works, and what do they have to offer me, and how can I get in contact with a rep when I get settled down and when I'm going to practice. And a lot of times they also have samples of things, which is really nice because then I get to try out some different products on myself and decide what I like best and what I don't. And that has been really beneficial to me.
Absolutely. I think another thing too is, so there are different lenses that you use to examine your patients, and there's kind of the standard one that everyone learns on, but there are variations of those. When you get out into practice, you get to decide, okay, well, maybe this like 20x lens is what I learned on, but I really prefer the 25x lens. And the rep being there helps you kind of go, oh, okay, I could use this. Maybe this is something that I want to look into. And it kind of gets you, because when you're in school, you're kind of like elbow deep in everything and just trying to learn it. It helps you kind of get that 30,000 foot view of everything. It's like, okay, I'm going to have a lot more choices at some point. I don't know, it just kind of gets you out of your own head.
Teaches you about the industry.
Yes, industry is super important.
That's good. Okay. We have another question. So this is about the experience in general at the school. The question is, at SCO, do students get assigned with a group of students and work with them for all 4 years?
Oh, yeah. So the way that there's 135 students about in your class, and that gets broken down into 5 smaller groups, but then you get mixed up every semester. So Trevor and I were in a group together, I think, for first year, and then we got switched up during second year, and then now we're back in the same group again. So it gets switched up, so you're not just looking at the same eyes over and over and over again. And then by your third semester here, you know everybody in your class. So that's how that works. So yeah, it gets pared down into a smaller group, easier, smaller teacher-student ratios. But yeah, you do get mixed up a lot.
And then as we're getting ready to walk over to the clinic, how does the ratio change in the clinic?
Yeah, so once we get over to the clinic, your ratio is 4 to 1, teacher to student.
Okay.
So let's go to my favorite part of the tour, always, is the clinic part of the tour. So we're going to show you some pictures here of kind of the lobby, the waiting area, and things like that. But I want to tell you a little bit about the clinic. SCO has the 2nd largest eye clinic in the world by square feet. The first is in China. We see about 350 patients a day, and those patients are seen by students, and that's a lot of patients. It's a lot of patients. By the end of your time at SCO, you will have had around 3,500 patient encounters, is where the numbers come out. And that is a lot of time with you getting to sit with a patient. When you're seeing your patients in clinic, that's a one-on-one experience. You bring your patient into the room and you close the door and you're the doctor. You take care of all the testing that needs to be done and things like that, and then you check in with your attending, and they might come in and double check a couple things behind you, but you take care of the exam. That's your responsibility. And at first that was a little bit scary, right? But as time goes on and you kind of get into the rhythm of it, it's actually really beneficial to kind of be thrown into the water like that, because you figure out how to do an eye exam really fast if you didn't already. Like we were talking about before, the ratio is about 1 to 4, 1 doctor for 4 students. And I think there'll be some pictures here later on of kind of how that setup all works. The Eye Center is a for-profit clinic. We take about 800 different insurances, and we do that so that we can try and use some of that to keep our tuition as students down. However, we don't turn away people if we can help it. The Eye Center also gives away about $1.5 million of free care every year. So at the Eye Center, you will be taken care of, but it all kind of works out for everybody the way that it's run. As we go through the rest of the clinic, one other thing I would tell you is that the clinic is split up into a few different sections, right? So when you have an appointment at the Eye Center, you don't just have an appointment with a doctor. You have an appointment in ocular disease, or in adult primary care, or in pediatrics. And so we'll go through each of these different areas, departments, and kind of talk about what each one of them means. But the reason why we've done that is so that as students, we get to have a wide range of experience, right? I don't show up to clinic on my clinic day and just see whatever walks through the door. If I'm in pediatrics, I'm going to see somebody under the age of 12. And that's just kind of how it works, to give us that wide range of experiences, which I really like, because that means that no matter how I decide to practice when I'm done with school, I will have practiced in just about every way that there is, and I will be super prepared for whatever I might go into.
Yeah, and I think one of the other really good things about that is that it helps the school kind of control our experiences, in the sense that I'm not going to graduate having seen a whole bunch of really old people while not seeing any kids, while Trevor is going to graduate and see a whole bunch of kids and not see any old people. It gives us that balance, and it gives the school a way to really just tailor our education to where we're going to come out really balanced and ready to see anything that walks through the door, because we have seen everything that could walk through the door. Yeah. We have another question, I think.
Yeah, so
yes.
While we're here in the lobby, a great relevant question. What sort of diversity do you see in your patients? Lots of nationalities and diseases?
Thank you for bringing that up. I was going to say that, and then I just failed to. So, Memphis is a very diverse place. Basically what I have noticed being in clinic, the time that I have, and from talking to other people, While you are in Memphis, you will see just about everything, and you will see things that you will probably never see again in your entire career, because there's just a lot of really cool disease processes and things like that that happen here. A large majority of our patient population is African American, but we do have plenty of Hispanics, Caucasians, and many, many different nationalities. You will see everything while you're here. You really will, especially with I don't know if we're going to talk about external clinics very much, but at some of our other external clinics, some of those are geared a little bit more towards more high-end and affluent people and things like that. So you're going to see everybody in the socioeconomic range, everybody in different races and different diseases.
Different ages.
Different ages.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So let's move to the first section of the clinic, and that is the optical. You see an optical when you walk into just about any optometry office in the country. One of the cool things about SCO is that as students, we have a rotation through the optical. Everything from learning how to make the glasses, to how to adjust them, how to verify them, how to help a patient pick them out, how to help them pick lens options and frames, and how to kind of work through some of those insurances and things like that. We get experience in doing all of those things. And some schools don't necessarily give you that level of experience in this. And I think that the nice thing about it is that when I'm done with school, if I don't have the option or the chance to hire a certified optician, I can hire someone off the street and say, this is how you do this and this and this and this and this. Absolutely. Because I've learned how to do it all, so I can train someone to do it how I like to do it. So it's a really, really great experience. And it's good to also understand how your optician in your future office might feel as they are working with patients. It can be frustrating sometimes to try and get that patient in the frame that they like and work with their insurances and things like that. And so it's a really great experience to be in the optical. The other thing about the optical is that, like I mentioned before, we take a lot of insurances, over 800 different insurance plans. And so there is probably a way for us to find a frame or something like that that will fit anybody's budget. The frames range from, you know, a cheap frame to a high-end frame. We have everything in between so we can serve as many people as we possibly can.
A question about the clinic in general, and what year do you start practicing at the clinic?
So in second year, you'll start shadowing in the clinic. So you'll be shadowing upperclassmen, and depending on your comfort level and how much the staff doctor and that upper level student want to push you, you'll start maybe doing some of the pre-testing or some of the skills that you know from first and second year. And then the summer after your second year, you will get your full-blown clinic schedule. And so you'll be in adult primary care, you'll be in vision therapy, you'll be in teen clinic, you'll be in technology, you'll be in optical, you'll go to one of our external clinics. So clinical care and seeing patients really kicks into gear right after your second year. Cool. And I'm going to keep going. I'm going to talk about adult primary care. So adult primary care, you're going to start seeing patients really 18 to 20 years old and up. I think the oldest patient that I've seen so far has been 90 years old. Sweet old man, fell asleep in my chair. But as we said before, it's a 4-to-1 student-teacher ratio, which is great. So as Trevor said before, you do the exam from start to finish. You see that someone has checked in, and you go, you get their fee sheet, you walk out, you call their name. Hi, I'm Courtney, I'll be your student doctor today. And then from then on, like, that's your patient that you're responsible for. So you'll get their chief complaint, you'll get all of the exam information. And then really what the staff doctor is there to help you do is really develop your clinical decision-making skills. Going from, okay, this is the problem that they're having, compare that to the findings that you have, and then trying to find that, that tailored, personalized treatment plan for your patient. So that's been one of the more exciting things, is really, you know, the skills already, it's putting them into practice, and it's developing that independent thought of, okay, if I was by myself, what would I do about this and why? So the staff doctors really challenge you. And adult primary care is cool because while you know kind of the age range that you're going to get, you don't know what's going to walk in. The patients who end up in ocular disease, they had to go somewhere else first. So you're doing a lot of discovery. So personally, I have with the help of my staff doctor, diagnosed glaucoma and had managed that patient in that way, managing dry eye. I know a lot of my classmates have seen diabetic retinopathy, which is, a complication from diabetes. And so adult primary care, you really just, I think it's probably one of the most exciting places. It doesn't sound it when you're just like, oh, it's adult primary care. But that's where you're going to be discovering and making those first diagnoses, which is a really cool thing to have gotten started in. Do we have a question?
We do. You guys out there getting an A+ for some really great questions. So I like this.
Test us.
Yes. So this question is, when it comes to insurance and other business aspects, is there a class that introduces us to all of this, or is it more of a special opportunity that you get through the optical rotation?
It is developed into our curriculum. So the Hayes Center with Dr. Wade, she has, I think starting spring semester of your first year, you're going to start getting some optometric practice courses. And those classes will cover everything from optometric history, specific laws relating to optometry, insurance laws, and then you'll get more and more business classes, as well as putting those things that you learn in class into practice once you get over into the clinic. So yeah, they do a really great job at incorporating like the business side of optometry into our curriculum.
And you also have a chance to, during second year, to shadow not only students that are seeing patients, but also the front desk and the insurance desk and the patient flow and kind of how all of that administrative side of the clinic works as well, so that you get a feel for how that works as well.
Absolutely.
And for students who are really aspirational and know that they want to hone in on their business skills, we have a partnership with the local university, Christian Brothers University, so students can earn their MBA while earning their Doctor of Optometry degree, and some of the elective classes are waived for those students because they're working on their Doctor of Optometry degree. So you get that MBA in a more expedited fashion, and we do have a handful of students that take advantage of that every year.
Yeah, and there's also OPP, which is the private practice club on campus, and so they have a whole bunch of guest speakers that come every month and really talk to the students about different aspects of business ownership and the best way to get started. So yeah, they do a really good job at making sure we kind of get every aspect of businessing.
Yeah.
That's a word. I'm sticking to it.
So moving through the clinic, a couple of the other specialties. The first one is our pediatrics department. So in pediatrics, you will see patients that are from 0 to, I think it's 12 years old.
Yeah, I
right?
think that's what it is, yeah.
This is a 4th year rotation, just one of those things to try and help us get rounded out a little bit, make sure that you know how to do that exam on that 6-month-old that walks in the door, because obviously it's going to be different than doing an exam on a 60-year-old. The other great thing about our pediatrics department is we actually have separate clinics for pediatrics and teenagers. So because, again, a 6-month-old has very different visual needs than a 13-year-old. And so being able to differentiate those as well, as I recall, we're one of the only clinics that really has something separated out for teens. And the teens is actually a 3rd year rotation, because sometimes those are, a teenager is sometimes a little easier to work with than a 3-year-old or something like that. And so we get to kind of have that experience in dealing with some of those problems with binocular systems and things like that, which is very cool. And moving from that into our vision therapy department, vision therapy is a specialty that not a lot of people know about in optometry. It's kind of a way to use different activities and therapies to teach your eyes and your brain to work together better. You can think of it kind of like a physical therapy, but for your eyes, for people that have eye turns or reading problems or attention problems and car accidents, concussions, and all sorts of things like that, that we can help them relearn how to use their visual system in a better way. Here at SCO, we have some world-renowned faculty in vision therapy and in all of our departments that really help us to learn what is on the cutting edge of these treatments and these therapies right now. And on top of that, we also have with the vision therapy, some electrodiagnostic tools that we can use to find out, is someone really seeing without them having to tell us anything. There's just so much cool technology and some more that Courtney will get into here in a minute, and options that we have for making this a really great experience.
Yeah, I'm just going to jump in really
Yes.
fast just to brag on our faculty. So in the pediatrics clinic, we have Dr. Glenn Steele. And maybe some of you guys have heard of the infancy program, but basically it's a national initiative that gives infants, so a child under 1 year old, a free eye exam. And that was founded by one of our faculty, and that's who we get to work with very closely when we're in pediatrics. And he was just inducted into the National Optometric Hall of Fame. So that's super exciting. You were working with rock stars. All right, we're moving on. That was like a bragging moment there for me. Okay, so into ocular disease. And so ocular disease is another 4th year rotation that you get to do. And so this is where really the rubber meets the road when it comes to managing sight-threatening diseases like glaucoma, diabetic retinopathy, macular degeneration. And I think one of the really exciting things about this is not only do you diagnose these things, but you have to manage that. And you have to manage that, okay, what is the best medication for them to be using? How should they be using that medication? Is it time to send them for surgery? Does the patient really understand what's going on with their vision? And the doctors in this department really help you build that rapport with your patient and learning how to educate them, because if your patient doesn't know what's going on, they don't know how to best care for themselves, and you're not going home with them. So ocular disease is a really fun part of the practice, or part of the Eye Center here at SCO. And with ocular disease, we do a whole bunch of imaging. You can kind of see in that picture that they're comparing a photo there. We have a technology suite, and the technology suite, our clinic kind of operates like a hospital. So if one of our doctors decides that we need imaging, they'll send them to technology, and technology is run by 3rd years. And so the 3rd years get to learn how to run all of the pieces of equipment. So a visual field, an ultrasound, an OCT. If you've worked in a practice, you might have seen some of these things. So we get to learn how to run all of that imaging. So as a 3rd year, you get a lot of exposure into disease, even if you're not managing that patient directly. And another really cool thing that we have at the Eye Center is one of the departments is actually an ophthalmology suite. So we have a partnership with an ophthalmology group. And so they come, so we can actually refer our patients, in the same building to ophthalmology if they need surgery or kind of that upper level of care with ophthalmology. And we actually have a laser suite on campus as well. And so as a 4th year and as a 3rd year, you get to go and shadow ophthalmology and see how they do the laser procedures, which is super important for us because there are states in which optometrists are doing laser procedures, and a lot of our students might decide to do lasers to seek that certification. So here in this picture, you can see this is one of our OCTs. This is our technology suite. That's Goldman. We know how to do that. That's one of our fundus photos. And so we get to learn all of these pieces of equipment. And there's a few pieces of equipment in our technology suite that actually do the same thing, but it's different brands. So that helps us when we go out into the real world. When you join a practice, well, what if they didn't have the same piece of technology that you were used to using at school? That doesn't really happen here because we have the major brands of the pieces of technology. So we get our hands on everything, and that makes us really marketable to the workforce.
And I'm going to move over.
Sorry, I kind of combined them all together. Poor Rebecca's trying to click away.
But there's a relevant question. So
Yeah.
just making sure, but do you learn how to do laser procedures?
We do get to shoot the laser, but so optometry is a legislated profession. Depending on what state you're in, you may or may not have basically the legal ability to use lasers on a real person. So the states that have laser rights or laser privileges is Oklahoma, Kentucky, and Louisiana.
And Arkansas.
And Arkansas now, that's new, like last month new. So this is a good point to talk about. So optometry is a legislated profession, which is why it's really important for you to be involved in your state associations, in the American Optometric Association, because those are the people who are really going up to bat for us in Washington to get optometry to be able to practice to the full scope as what we were taught. So yeah, we will walk away with the ability to do these laser procedures, but it's frustrating if we're not able to do them and have patients benefit from them. So
just to clarify something here, Tennessee does not currently have laser privileges for optometrists, but we do get to practice on the machines with animal eyes and things like that, so that you don't get to do it on a human, but you do get that practice on an eyeball to actually go and try it out and see how it works and learn how to do the procedures and things like that. And there's also a lot of observation rooms, and some of these lasers never have had cameras on them before, and SCO worked with the manufacturers of these lasers to get some of the very first ones with cameras attached so that we could see what was going on inside on a TV screen and things like that. So you really do get some of that exposure to the laser procedures. All right, well, let's move to the very last part. This isn't a department in the clinic, but it's a very, very important room. So let's talk for just a minute about national boards. So once we're done with school, once we've graduated, we want to all be optometrists. So during school, we take our national board exams, and there's 3 parts. The first 2 parts are multiple choice tests, and you take those in March of your 3rd year, and then the second one sometime during your 4th year. And the third part of national boards is essentially an eye exam that you have to do while someone is watching on a camera. And in order to do that, everybody in the country flies to North Carolina and takes the test in the exact same building in North Carolina. So what SCO did when they built the clinic is they went to North Carolina and they got all of the schematics and everything for that room, and they built us 2 identical copies of the room where we take boards. Everything down to the light switches in there is exactly the same as it is in the room where we take our board exams. And then during your 4th year, you have the opportunity to schedule this room so that you can go in there and practice in the environment with the equipment and everything like that. There are casino quality cameras in that room, and there's another viewing room outside with 2-way communication so that someone can watch you on video, because you might do things a little bit differently when you're being filmed than if there was someone sitting right there watching you. So that's a great opportunity, a great advantage to the clinic here, is that we get the opportunity to practice in that environment. And not only that, but if someone has a fairly interesting case or an interesting patient that they want to show to a few students while the patient is there, they can take the patient to this room, get the cameras turned on in the separate, and show the video in a separate room, so you don't have to have 10 or 15 students all gathered around one patient. And that patient can feel a little bit more comfortable, but we can all still have that experience and see that case. So there's 2 rooms like this in the clinic, and they're very helpful. I'm really looking forward to using them as I move into 4th year.
All right, guys, so I think that brings us near the end of our tour. I want to thank our ambassadors for doing a really great job. I think they covered so much of what we would want you to know about our clinic, and you got to hopefully get a sense of what things look like here. So I would like to open it up for questions. So please, guys out there, if you have questions, go ahead and type them into the question box. As you do that, since I'm right here on our website, I want to show you all a few more things that you can look at to even more so familiarize yourself with SCO and the student experience here in Memphis. So we have so much good information on our website, which is sco.edu. Go to the prospective students page and you can find detailed information about all of these topics here. To get further information that's customized to where you're at in your process of being a pre-optometry student and thinking about applying and working on that application, hopefully many of you are in our system already. If you're getting emails about webinars, you are, but we have this really cool new thing. So if you go to explore.sco.edu and put your email address in, it will take you to your customized microsite. And so you have information that's tailored to you, and we change it as we go along. So as you get closer and as you're working on your application and then you're accepted, you get new information that we think is the most pertinent for you to know. And of course, you'll be in the loop in regards to events and further webinar sessions and all sorts of good stuff. So I encourage you to check back into your microsite every so often to get whatever information we're trying to tell you is important at that point in time. Look at our website. On our website, we have this Living in Memphis page. If you're curious, now that you know a little bit more about our school, to know a little bit more about the place our school is in, to check this out. Memphis is a really fun city, a lot going on, it's affordable, there's a lot of really cool things about it, and I hope you all can come and see for yourself at some point in time. So I'm going to look now back to the questions. Let's see what we got. Can you talk about how we can study for the OAT test? What materials can we use? Any tips, tricks for the test day? This is a great question, and I think if you're a prospective student, it's probably something that's been on your mind. And so we actually have an entirely dedicated webinar session to the OAT where we talk all about what you need to do to get ready and sign up and how to study. So we have a couple versions of that on our YouTube page. If you want to watch the recordings of those sessions, I encourage you to check that out. But maybe briefly, do you guys want to say just a couple things about what you thought worked well for your prep for OAT?
Consistency is key. Don't try to cram for the entire test on the, Monday night before the test. Little bit at a time, take it slow. That's all I have.
I would say definitely go check out the most recent webinar about it, because I'm pretty sure I helped out with that one too. So come listen to my voice again, because I know you all are so excited about that. But one of the main things I would say is just do as many practice questions as you possibly can. Practice, 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 and it will help so much.
Absolutely. Oh, and when you're actually taking the OAT, when you get that break time, go out in the parking lot and stretch. It is a long test. Keep your brain in it, because it's easy to go, oh my goodness, this is so long. But you will do a great job. I'm excited for you.
All right, so another A+ question. What personally made you choose SCO out of all the other optometry schools out there?
Okay, I'll go. So when I looked at optometry schools, I really looked at like 3 or 4 different things. The first one, obviously, academics. SCO has a 100% board passage rate. So it's kind of hard to look at academics for optometry schools because they don't quite rank them the same way that they do undergrad. But I saw that 100% boards passage rate, and I was like, okay, like they must know what they're doing. So I felt really good about that. I looked at their admissions requirements, and I was like, okay, like you got to work to get into this school. 2, I looked at the clinical experience. I did not think that any of the other schools really matched what SCO offers in the idea of clinical experience. Number 3, I felt like I meshed with the people when I did my interview. You're interviewing your school just as much as your school is interviewing you. Did you think that you could really mesh well with the people that you interacted with at that school? Could you see yourself walking into the building every day and saying hi to the person that was there? And then the last thing is, did I feel like I could live in the city? Was the city something that I felt like I wanted to move to? Did I like the environment? And those are kind of the 4 things that I looked at was, academics, clinical experience, the school environment, and then the city that it was in.
Similar to what Courtney said, I first looked for a school that was close to my hometown, and that was not a thing. So my next thought was, if I'm going to have to go far away, I might as well go to where I think I'm going to get the absolute best education. And one of the biggest reasons I chose SCO is because I knew that I was going to learn how to be the very best doctor that I possibly could here. I agree with Courtney that I felt like the clinical education I was going to get here would be the best, bar none. I'm very interested in vision therapy and pediatrics, and we have, like Courtney was saying, some of the best faculty in the nation here for that specifically. And so that was one thing that drew me here. For me and for my wife, one of the things that was really important is that when we walked into SCO that interview day, it was home. It felt like home. There were people here. Southern hospitality is a real thing. It's not just something that's made up in the movies. And that had a huge impact on us as well. So really for me, it was those 2 things. It was the clinical education and that I really felt like we could make a home here.
All right, related to your homes here, what is the approximate cost of living in Memphis? And how do students usually arrange housing, especially first-year students, since there are not dorms on campus?
Cost of living in Memphis is phenomenal. It's
Cheap.
the best. I can tell you, I'm living in a 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment just over the state line for like $900 a month. And it's fantastic. And I know that there are students on the island when you have I don't have a roommate, but if you have a roommate, you can get that even cheaper. And you really can get affordable cost of living out here. What was the second part of the question?
I think the way that people find roommates
And housing in general.
and housing in general. So when you're accepted, there is a class Facebook page that is created for you, and you'll get added into the page. And then as everyone else is getting accepted and taking their place in their class, there's a Facebook page. And so I know a lot of people are like, hey, looking for a roommate. I think I want to live here. And so then you kind of find people that way. We also use Iris, which is part of like Microsoft SharePoint. And that's how they find, that's how a lot of people find kind of like, what are you looking for in a roommate? And then also SCO puts on the housing fair, and they put that on every spring. And if you come to that weekend, you'll meet a lot of us, you'll meet a lot of the ambassadors, but you'll also meet a lot of people from your class who are in the same boat as you, looking for a roommate, trying to decide what apartment they want to live in. And SCO actually sets up tours of some of the most popular apartments that our students live in. And so that's a way that a lot of students find apartments and roommates. We do fun games that are kind of cheesy, but they help you kind of meet people in a very quick way. We'll do like speed dating when it comes to trying to find your roommate, just little icebreakers so you can better get to know the person that you might be living with.
And if you have any other questions about that, you can always email up here to someone on the 11th floor, like Rebecca or something like that, and she can put you in touch with one of us, or she can answer your questions because she knows all this fun stuff too.
A couple questions about externships. So our externships during the 4th year, and does SCO have established residencies for students or connections with residency programs? So I guess externships and residency question.
Yes.
So yes. They are during your 4th year. Externships are during your 4th year. And then after your 4th year, after graduation, you have that option to do residency. And I believe I was reading earlier that SCO has some of the most accredited residencies of any school. So you will be able to find a residency accredited with the school with any specialty that you might want to go into. And in a lot of areas of the country too.
Oh yeah, they have them everywhere, like including Alaska.
Yeah.
Is Memphis welcoming people of other faiths and religions in your experiences?
Yes, you're talking to people of 2 different faiths and experiences.
I have not felt ostracized or anything like that at all. Like I said before, Southern hospitality is a real thing, and everybody gets along. I have not had issues with anybody, really. It's pretty easygoing and happy, and
yeah, not had any issues with that at all.
All right, there's a couple of questions about shadowing. So what is your advice about shadowing before starting school? How did you find optometrists who specialize in specific fields that you were interested in? Did you take into account what school the optometrist went to when you looked at shadowing options?
So I started shadowing so the first optometrist that I shadowed was my optometrist. And then having a good relationship with him, he was able to put me in contact with other optometrists. And so that's how I really did a lot of my shadowing. The optometrist that I was working for and that I shadowed, they kind of all went to different schools. And they are like a giant wealth of information. Talk to them about their experience in school, talk to them kind of what they would maybe have done differently, take into account their input, yes, but you're really going to have a good idea of what you're looking for when you do your interviews.
Yeah, I didn't really take school into account very much. One of the best resources for me was my advisor in my undergrad. She had a lot of resources for optometrists that I could reach out to. As far as specialties go, that's something that I looked at a lot. Even just Googling optometrist and then the specialty, optometrist vision therapy or optometrist contact lens or something like that, you should be able to find someone that way that would specialize in that field. And I would definitely recommend looking at a couple different optometrists that shadow or that specialize in a few different fields, because that'll give you a little bit better idea of the full scope of what optometry can do.
Oh yeah, and don't be afraid to cold call. Like I know that it can be, well, I remember it being like really intimidating to talk to doctors and to be like, hey, can I come shadow you? Give their office a call, be like, hi, I'm so-and-so, I'm a pre-optometry student. I was really interested to know if your doctor accepts students to come and shadow, or what that process would look like, and leave your contact information with their front desk. I have a very strong feeling that your optometrist would be really excited to have you come. Optometrists are some of the most friendly people, and they're some of the most passionate people, and they really want to pass on the love of optometry to other people. So don't be afraid to cold call.
And one more thought that I had is that, kind of like Courtney was saying before, if you want to find an optometrist in a specific specialty, ask someone who you have shadowed or who you are shadowing and say, hey, who do you refer to when you need someone in this specialty? And they'll tell you an optometrist that they trust, that they know that does that, who would probably also be fine with you shadowing them. So use that person, use that optometrist that you're shadowing as a resource. I'm sure they'd be happy to help.
So related to different areas and specialties and modes of practice, what are the different settings that an optometrist could work in? Is it always business oriented?
Oh,
so
no.
Just briefly, a few different ones.
So we're looking at externships right now. And so as third years, we're looking at externships, and we're finding that there are opportunities to be an optometrist in community health services. There are Indian reservations who are looking to hire optometrists. There are community health centers that are looking to hire optometrists. There's Christ Community and Church Health just in the Memphis area that have optometrists on staff. You can go into academia, you can go into research, you can be employed. I know that the VA hospitals hire optometrists. There's plenty for you to do as an optometrist if you're not looking to go into the private practice or industry part of it. And that's, I think, one of the most exciting things about optometry is that it's not a one-size-fits-all profession at all.
I am sorry. I talked with an optometrist a couple months ago at a conference, and he contracts with 3 or 4 local prisons and travels to the prisons to do eye exams. So you can do whatever you want.
That's cool. So related to externship locations, is there a list on the website, or how are you all communicated the options that you have to choose from?
So they send us an updated list once to us as students once it's been finalized for that year. I don't believe that there's a list online. Here at the school, we have a map on the 10th floor that shows where some of them are located, but that's not online right now. I would just tell you that you can get an externship there are externship sites in most states. So you could probably find something in just about any place you wanted to go, depending on what kind of externship you were looking at getting into.
And does SCO do anything on the international level, mission trips, residencies abroad, etc.?
Yes. I know that our classmates went to, where did they go?
Some went to Bolivia.
I
think there was a Dominican Republic trip, a Costa Rica trip this year.
Yes. So a lot of the clubs that are service and volunteer based, they will plan missions trips during our breaks. So you get an opportunity to travel internationally and do optometric mission work, which is really cool. And then there's also local initiatives like remote area medical, so we call them RAM trips, where you can go and be a part of a clinic experience for people who need it.
And besides that, I mean, we got an email just today about going to do a screening for some, I don't remember what it was, but there's always opportunities where the school is looking for a few students to go and help out and do some exams and our screenings or whatever it may be, or education for the public.
All right, one last question, unless there's any others, continue to chat. But this question is, what kind of cases do your board exams usually lean toward? What does a general rubric look like? Correct identification of disease, attitude. So what are they looking for when you're, especially probably in North Carolina, to do your board exam?
If you go to the NBEO, so the National Board of Examiners in Optometry, NBEO, if you go to their website, they have an entire rubric of what to expect during the big practical exam. but they don't want to tell us too much because they want us to figure out what it is. But yeah, it's like a full start to finish exam.
Okay. So a question about having interest in practicing other languages. Are there opportunities where you can interact with patients speaking in other languages?
Yes,
Trevor?
absolutely. I speak Spanish, and I have been called on multiple times on my clinic days and not on my clinic days to go over and help somebody translate, make a phone call, explain a diagnosis, many things like that. Typically students are, if someone has not brought a translator with them, often students are called upon to come and help translate. We do have a decently large Hispanic population in Memphis, and I've also seen some Vietnamese, some Korean.
I helped a deaf patient last week.
We have some sign language as well. So there are opportunities for that, for sure.
Absolutely.
All right, unless there are any other last minute questions, I think that was it. I again want to thank our ambassadors and thank you all out there for attending the session today, for asking great questions. I have a few links up on the slide. If you want more information, contact us anytime. We're here to help. I have the general admissions email here. You can reach out to that email address and I check it so I can answer your questions. If you want to get in touch with Trevor or Courtney, I can get you in touch with them as well. So whatever you need, we're here for. I talked about the explore.sco.edu link, and I mentioned we have other webinar sessions. So one plug I'd like to do is mention that we have our interview skills workshop coming up in August, which is a really, really great topic. And I usually have Mr. Hauser speak to this topic. He is our Vice President for Student Services, and he's very involved in the interview day and in getting ready for the interview day. So he'll be able to go over, tips for getting ready for the interview, things that we are looking for when you're here for your interview, and actually discuss what the interview day is structured like. So it's a really, really great session, especially if you're getting ready to submit your application for the upcoming cycle. So let's see. Everyone is saying thank you.
Yay.
Thank you, guys.
It was great.
Yeah, it was
So
a lot of fun.
with that, I'm going to close the session. We hope to see or hear from you all again in August or beyond. So keep in touch, and thank you very much for being with us today.